Yes, I'm going to talk about building smart local communities from the grassroots. This conference is dedicated to town and parish communities, and I'm actually new to your community. And so I'd like to tell you why I joined. I mean, I've naturally joined by joining Scribe. A little bit about myself. I am a geek. In particular, I have a background in mapping, so digital mapping, geographic maps. And I've done a lot of work with the tech community here in Norwich, supporting startups and also getting technology people together to solve local problems. And if I look back at my career, I've always kind of been involved at a local level using technology. And I had a really great start to my career in Namibia. I'm not sure any of you guys have been to Namibia, but if you have, why not shout out on Zoom chat? It is an amazing country and I highly recommend to go there when you can. So in the mid-1990s, they were really using a lot of paper maps. So my initial work there, I was actually backpacking and I randomly got a job mapping. So my initial work there was actually capturing digital maps. And one of my favourite projects was working in the Kavango region in the northeast of Namibia, as you see it there, small section up there. As you can see, it's a very sparse area. There's only still today really one main road going through it. So I worked with a team to map it. It's quite a daunting task because it actually is a small part of Namibia, but if you kind of measure it against England and Wales, it's actually bigger. So we were tasked with getting more detail behind that map. But because it was so big, we had to fly aeroplanes and capture aerial photographs, and we took them back to the office and were able to analyse those and capture basic infrastructure information such as roads, can't really call them roads, more dirt roads, and the small settlements. And then if we wanted more detailed data, we actually jumped in a car with a GPS and we went out there and captured just basic information, boreholes, schools, clinics, shops. It's almost like doomsday level data capture where there was not known, and it was hugely rewarding to meet a lot of these local people. We had an onboard interpreter who could speak the 7 languages in the area, and a lot of them didn't even know people knew they kind of existed. We come across villages that hadn't seen anyone for 1-2 years, and we said we're here to map them so the government does know they exist, or the chiefs do know they exist. And a lot of this data enabled the government to start delivering some basic services to that region. Initially it was all around family planning and birth control. So after a few years, I returned back to UK, and the internet was growing in popularity. I'm not sure if any of you remember multimap.com. I used to work for them, and that was more now putting maps online and making them accessible to everybody in the UK. And I think we were the top 10 website in the UK. And we're effectively replacing the paper, big fat yellow pages and paper maps, and making it much easier to look up location information. And we used to exhibit at consumer shows, and again the people really were amazed and found Multimap a tool that they use every day. And now we have maps in our pockets. In the last 10 years I have been focused on mobility, so that's really helping people move from A to B on public transport, not only the mass public transport, but also all the new mobility providers such as bike sharing schemes, e-scooters, etc. So this is working with really large public transport agencies. So you're very much many layers removed from the people on the street, and this is where I kind of started questioning myself and the impact I kind of was making in my career with people on the ground, because I felt like when you start working with the bigger tiers of organisation, as you stack up, we started a lot slower delivering projects, and often you're just stuck in a 1-2 year procurement process, and then you might work on a project for 1 or 2 years, and then it's the first time that an actual end user really receives the kind of the product that you're building. And often you would deliver the wrong thing. We were building really amazing apps powered by artificial intelligence that could predict where you need to go, but actually users, they just wanted, a bus that came on time, was clean and safe. So you kind of do find yourself getting disconnected. And also we found like you have to really start compromising the local needs versus global scalability. So you're chasing the money, but then through that process you kind of aren't able to meet the local needs. So really I felt as I was progressing through my career, you're getting more and more disconnected from reality, and you get stuck in this trap of thinking technology can solve everything, and there really is, you begin to lack understanding and empathy of the needs of people and that live on the street and need to get to work, need to get to health, entertainment and all these kinds of things. And this can be evident in a lot of large-scale IT projects, and there's lots of examples of this top-down thinking that have failed, and often these million or billion down projects are completely scrapped. So with all this kind of in the background, I decided to kind of completely flip everything upside down again, and I was starting with people first. So I founded this event called Sync the City, and it basically, I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of the term hackathon, but it's basically a unique event where and actually Norwich Live Streaming streamed the last event that we did, and it's a unique event where you basically get a whole bunch of strangers together with a mixture of different skills for the weekend, and you challenge them to build and launch a startup in a weekend, and you don't know what you're going to do. Anybody can go there and start trying to build a startup. So basically the event starts with anyone going up on stage. They've got an idea, a problem, a solution. They've got 1 minute to pitch it, and then we get the best ideas, and that goes through to team formation. And this is kind of an important part of, I guess, my learning in doing this event, is getting what we call cross-functional teams, getting everybody together who have the skills and the knowledge, the main expertise, to work together and get a good diversity of people on a particular problem and goal. So that's kind of the key factor. Once you've got that team, cross-functional team, because historically or traditionally a lot of people work in functional areas and they have their big departments, and they don't interact too well, but you pick all the expertise and you create a small team to do that. Then we work the teams really to define their proposition, their problem statement and their solution statement, then what type of customers they're trying to solve their particular problems and the business model and everything. And when they've really got an idea, they have to take it out on the street. So they need to validate it and go out and interview people, talk to customers, listen to them and understand their problems, and then incorporate that feedback into their solution or their assumptions. And sometimes, it really resonates with the potential customers, and you actually acquire customers during that phase. But you go back, and again, remember, this is all in a weekend, and you go back and you start building your prototype. And in software development, when you're building apps, it's kind of changed over the years now, and you use a method, you iterate on building something. And there's, two good examples there of different ways to build, a product. Incremental, which is kind of the old-fashioned way, where it's a long time before the end user get at stage 4 there, they get it. So initially there's no way for them to move from A to B. They've got a wheel, 2 wheels, then a sort of chassis with no engine, and then finally they're happy, but it's not quite what they were looking for. In software development now, particularly what we do in Scribe, is we deliver value as soon as we can. So we deliver the basic needs, and rather than it's 1 year, you only have to wait maybe 1 month, and we're delivering what we call a minimal viable product, such as we did this year with our bookings app. We had the basic functionality, and over the few months we've kind of iterated and improved it based on feedback. And then at the end of it, you get a very happy customer, because you're bringing them along the journey the whole way. You don't just talk to them at the beginning and then show them at the end after a year. You just keep engaging with them, getting feedback along the way, and it's continuously improving. Then finally, once you've got that, you have to sell your idea as part of this event, communicate your proposition and opportunity, and this also trains the people to do public speaking. We have a great diversity of different people. As I said, we have 50% students, 50% working professionals. This last event we had 45% female, different age diversities as well. So everyone's coming along, and it's a learning experience. And the kind of projects that have actually happened, the winners, because there is prize money, 3,000 prize money. Actually, when you look at it, it is like a lot of kind of social, environmental problems. As you can see, some here, it's communicating to your loved ones when they're in care, saving the NHS. Hector Help was a bullying app, stress and anxiety, and a whole bunch of different ideas there. And moving on, those are the runners-up. These are actual winners. The first winner was a library in your pocket. Amazing idea. We had the head of libraries from the Norfolk County Council actually attended the event as a participant and pitched an idea, got a team and got his idea built. Making churches everyday places, that was 6 years ago, and then kind of our bookings app is the answer to that. That didn't actually go anywhere at that point. We've got recycling and the Safe Point there are actually sort of still going. But although it was a great event and I'm still doing it, it's still kind of failed, still disconnected in a way. So the bottom-up approach, we talked about the top-down approach. The bottom-up, the ideas fizzle out after a while because you don't really have a sponsor. The higher-up orgs, with the Norfolk County Council, even though the head of libraries had his idea a reality, he didn't actually take it any further, which was a great shame. But this year we got a request from Norwich Business Improvement District to work with them, and it was our first time we made it a themed event. And the topic was upcycle, which was a real local problem in trying to achieve the amount of waste we upcycle and removing it from landfill. And that event was dedicated to that problem. And it was, Norwich Bid had won an EU fund to look at it. And this really showed a lot of promise, a lot of progress was made. And I'm really happy to say that the winning team, as actually a couple of the people have quit their job. They've been pitching, because it's part of an EU project, they've pitched it to the EU, probably the last bit of funding we'll ever get from them. But this is really making an impact, and that's kind of, where I was when actually I had a call from Tim. So shortly after that, I got a call from him, and he told me about the work he's doing with Scribe. He told me about you guys. He told me about the town and parish council community, and I actually really wasn't too aware of it. I thought parish was some kind of a thing connected to the church, and he told me about it being the closest tier of government connected to people, and that you guys have lots of challenges, working under pressure, you are in survival mode, and there is a really daily need to help out with where technology could help you guys out. And also he talked about how happy you guys were to talk to us and tell us your problems, which I've never really experienced that before, where you're working so closely with people and you're getting all this feedback. And this is where I really drew the dots from Sync the City, the last event, and Scribe, and said actually the town and parish councils in the middle there, that's a great opportunity, and perhaps we could take what we've done with Norwich Bid and repeat it. And really Scribe is already adapting some of those best practices in terms of that innovation we experience at Sync the City about education, listening and iterating. So that's where we're at, and that's why I really got excited, and I'm very excited about joining Scribe. We are really trying to empower local communities, enable them to work smarter, doing the continuous learning, such as we're doing with Scribefest today, but also our Scribe Academy and the Facebook communities. You're all supporting each other. As a team, we are working with you guys, and you're going to hear more about that in a minute, to kind of understand both sides of the the different parties and what we can do to help you. The thing we are good at is bringing technology, but technology, is there to serve the people. It's not necessarily the solution. It's something I've learned a lot about, and we have the expertise on iterating and building these purpose-built applications. So together, we can enable us to, or enable you guys to have a greater impact already what you're doing, beyond what you're doing in the community, and, just make villages and towns a sustainable and prosperous place to work. So that's about me. That's my journey to here. I've probably gone a little bit too long, haven't I? But I'm really excited about going on this journey. I'm a few months in now and learning more about what you need.